How's it going? Last month was when I released my first tutorial video, and that's when we went over the ping command and registering events and basically how to start a server as well, like a development environment. Well, in this video, we're only going to go over one thing. I'm going to go over configuration files and how to store different types of information in there. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new command under the commands folder, and I'm going to name it reload command, just like that, just so we can reload the configuration. And this is going to implement command executor, and then I'm going to implement those methods like we did before, return true. And I'm going to make sure that only operators can run this command, and you'll be able to run this on the console as well. So if the sender has permission, tutorial.admin. So only administrators can run this command, and all it's going to do is reload the config, which we haven't created yet. So we'll leave this blank, and we'll create a to-do, and we're going to just say reload config. Alright, perfect. Now we're going to, under resources, we're going to create a new file, and this is going to be called config.yml. So the reason you have a configuration is because sometimes if you want to store things in lists or other things, it's not permanent. So when the server restarts, that whole list is going to get wiped. So we want to put some data in here to make sure it saves. So if the user likes things a certain way, you want it to make sure it saves here. So in the config, we can store lots of things. So we can store strings. So we're going to do string. This is a string. We can store doubles. We can store integers to 5. Well, that's basically what you guys are going to be storing in here anyway. We can also store Boolean, actually. Alright. So this, I'm just going to name this the test. This is the test section. And so let's, under tutorial, what you want to do in the onEnable method, we're going to do setup. We're going to add a setup config. Before everything, we're going to set up the config. So we're going to go over here. We're going to do config setup, and over here we're going to do save default config. So what save default config does is whatever is in this file, whatever I write in here right now, is going to be saved. Right? So we're going to make sure that gets saved really fast. And in the reload command, what we want to do is up here, we want to do private static plugin. So this is where we're going to get our plugin. I think we can call this tutorial, actually. Tutorial. I'm going to name it tutorial plugin. I named it tutorial because that's what my main class is named. So whatever your main class is what you're going to name this. I'm going to call it plugin. I'm going to use tutorial.getPlugin tutorial.class. There you go. Now we have an instance of the main. What we can do here is we can do plugin.get config dot plugin. Is there a reload config? Yeah, there we go. Reload config. And just like that, when we run this command, the plugin or the configuration will be reloaded. So let's just add that to our plugin.yml as well. Let's just actually call it tutorial reload. Plugin. It's just such reload, and there's no aliases. Alright. From there, we're going to create another command. I'm going to name this config test. Command add, and this is going to implement command executor, and in there we're going to return true. And so when we run this command, what I want it to do is I want it to send, it's going to send me Boolean, true, string, this is string. It's going to send me the double, and it's going to send me the integer as well. So this is where we're going to test what we've written in the config here. So I'm going to type in string plus string sender.send message integer, or we'll just leave this as I, sender.send message double plus D, and sender.send message Boolean, plus bool. Did we add another one in there? No, I think that's all. Alright, so now let's activate these variables. So up here, we're gonna get the plugin again. So to get the plugin, we do private static tutorial, because that's the name of my main class. Call it plugin equals tutorial.getPlugin tutorial.class. And now we have an instance of our plugin. Over here we can call file configuration, and we're going to name this config and this is equal to plugin.getConfig. Pretty simple. Alright, now we're going to get all the integers. So the int I, or we'll start with string s, or string is equal to config.getString. I think we just named it string. Check here. Yep. Where'd I put it? Right here. Okay. So basically what this is going to do, it's going to go into the config, search for the entry string, and it's going to return whatever this is. So it's going to search for this and return this, which is what we want. Alright, next up we want integer. So we're going to do int I is equal to config.getInt. We just named it integer. Double check to make sure. Yep, got it. Next, we want the double, so we can do double D equals config.getDouble, because that's what we named it. And then the Boolean. So Boolean bool equals config.getBoolean Boolean. And there we go. Now all the variables are in there, and it returns true at the end. Alright, so let's go back into our plugin YML, and let's register the command config test description tests the config, and usage / config test. And in the main class, let's register all the commands. So get command, we named this tutorial reload. Set executor new reload command. Get command config test. Set executor new config. Config test command. There we go. So all the commands are registered, and we think the config works. One more thing I'm going to add. Actually, we'll do that after. Alright, so let's test out the plugin first. So to test out the plugin, I'm going to hit play. Wait for it to build. And once it's done building, I'm going to copy this and move it into my server stuff. Right here, replace the file, and start the server. Alright, the server's done setting up, and right here it says standard or system out, hello world, and it says nag author is able to hear about a tutorial about their usage of system out. Please use your plugins logger instead. So we're gonna go fix that error right now. Actually, once I'm finished testing this, let's connect to the local host. All right, we're here. And as you can see, our join message still works, says plus equal terabyte. And let's do config test. And as you can see, it says string, this is string, integer, 5, double, 1.01, and boolean, true. All right, nothing fancy. So let's go back into let's go into our plugins folder, and you can see it created our own folder for tutorial, and it created a config YML as well. So I'm gonna open that. I think it's gonna open with Visual Studio. Yep. And we're gonna change the boolean to false. We're gonna change the string to this is not a string. Change the double to 6.42 and the integer to 9. And we're gonna save it. Close. Now when we run the command, it's the same. It returns the same thing. So this is why we included the tutorial reload command. So now we reload it, the plugin is reloaded, and now when we run config test, oh, it's embarrassing. It returns the same thing. Let's check out here and see what's up. It's not a string. Make sure that's saved. Oh, I'm not an operator on the server, so I guess it's working. So let's opt myself. And now, because we made the reload command only available to admins, so now we'll reload the server. And now let's try config test. And as you can see, the plugin has reloaded, and it returns this is not a string, integer 9, 6.42, and the boolean is false. Exactly to what we set it in the config.yml. Alright, so we can close the server. And let's go back here. So what I said in the previous tutorial is use system out println hello world. But for now, what people use is the plugin's logger itself. So up here, I'm going to create a private final logger, and we're going to import it from java.util.logging. And this is going to be equal to bucket.getLogger. Or we can use getServer.getLogger. And now, instead of system out.println hello world, we're going to use logger.log level.find. Or we can do level.info. Hello. Oops, not a plus. We'll use a comma. Hello world. So this is what Spigot wants us to use now instead of the system.println whatever stuff. We're going to use logger.log level.info hello world. This way all the stuff will be saved when the plugin exits, and it'll be saved to the crash logs as well. So if you want to report an error with this, you can do logger.log. And there's different levels, so there's level info, level find, all the levels, level config, level finder, level finist, no level, which is level off, level severe, and level warning. So if the error that's produced by your plugin is extremely severe, or that stops the plugin, you use severe. And if the error is not that bad, and you just want to warn the player that something happened, you can use level.warning. So that's how to use config files, and I hope you liked the video. I've been stuck with school and a lot of stuff, so I haven't been releasing videos all that much, but I really want to go into more events and fancier commands when I'm done with studying and all that stuff. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great time. Bye.